What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking. So if you've watched my last couple videos, you know that I've talked a lot about savings, about putting your head down and working, about grinding. I've talked also a lot about side hustles. So today I'm going to make a video about the side hustles that I've done. Not necessarily the ones that I think you should do, but just the ones that I've done, and maybe you can take some inspiration from it. So with that, let's jump right into it. So I'll go in order. I'll talk about the pros and cons of each, and we'll start with my first one, which is waiting tables. All right, so I did this probably my first job out of college, probably in the 2006 area. I would go to work. I wasn't making a lot of money, and on the weekends I would go wait tables. So depending on which restaurant I went to, I worked for 2 or 3 different restaurants. I would get between $12 and $25 an hour. So the pros was that the money at the high-end type of restaurants was pretty good, right? I would walk home at the end of the day, probably anywhere between $150 and $200. The pros also was that the hours were flexible. I would work Friday evenings, I would take Saturday off, and then I would work Sunday for the lunch shift. And so those hours worked for me with my full-time 40-hour-a-week job. The cons probably is that for me it was hard work. I don't enjoy waiting tables. It's probably one of the most stressful jobs that I can think of, but it is what it is, and it helps supplement my income to the tune of $500 to $800 extra in cash a lot of times per month. The next one is selling cars. So what I would do, this was back in 2010, before Facebook Marketplace, before OfferUp, before any of those apps, I would just search on Craigslist. I would search on Craigslist for what I thought was a good deal. I would look at a similar car, similar mileage, and see what I could sell it for. So the pros was that in the 2 or 3 that I did, it was again relatively a lot of money. I would make anywhere between $5 and I think I maxed out at $1,200 all in one shot for very little work in terms of actually doing physical work to the car. I wouldn't do much to the car. I'd clean it up and I would relist it. But it was a lot of work. So here are the cons. It was a lot of work in terms of searching on Craigslist. Many hours, lots of deals that I know I wouldn't be able to make any money. High hours, high risk. You don't know what you're getting into with these older cars. Risk in terms of meeting somebody and bringing thousands of dollars to the transaction. And then I guess the final con is this is something where you needed money to get started. Not a lot of money, but still a few $1,000s to where if we're talking about waiting tables, there was no investment needed. And then I think the final con, which wasn't an issue for me, but this was in Georgia. So depending on the laws of your state, if you are doing this without a resale license, you can do up to 5 per year. So I never got there. So that wasn't an issue for me. So the next side hustle that I did, and this was kind of around the same time, 2009, 2010, is that I started a moving business. So what I would do is I got a great deal on a 14-foot box truck with a liftgate. I would post ads on Craigslist. Again, Craigslist was the only method of advertising back around this time. And I would offer to help move people for what I thought was very reasonable prices. So what I would do is when people responded to my ad, I would ask them what type of stuff they had, where they were moving from, where they were moving to, if there were flights of stairs, how many flights of stairs, how much furniture, if there were long walkways, if there was an elevator situation. Believe it or not, elevators take more time than stairs sometimes, because you've got to go down that long walkway, you've got to make everything fit in the elevator, you've got to walk down that long walkway back to the apartment. There was a little bit involved. So the learning process, while it's not rocket science, there's a little bit to it. So the pros was that, again, I thought this was pretty good money. So obviously I wouldn't do the work myself. I would get a friend or just somebody that I found to help me. I would pay them $15 an hour in cash. I would fuel up the truck. I didn't have to rent the truck, but the payments were very reasonable. And then at the end of the day, my target was always $25 in cash per hour after all expenses. This became relatively lucrative for me. I did this only for about a year and a half, and towards the end, I was busy. People were responding to my ads. I was getting repeat business. I was doing 2 to 3 moves every single weekend. So I would double up on a Saturday, start early, and finish really late, and it was really busy towards the end. My goal for every move was always to pocket anywhere between $150 to $200 per move. So 2 to 3 moves, we're talking about $500 or $600 every single weekend. So this was significant income. The con, as you can imagine, took a heavy toll on my body. My forearms were jacked, which was awesome, but it took a toll on my legs and my knees, and so something that wasn't sustainable for me. But I had a lot of fun when I was doing it. So the next one is I started a furniture business, and that's why I'm wearing my Evolve Furnishings t-shirt today. I could probably make a whole video on the ins and outs of a furniture business, but for today, I'm just going to keep it real simple. Basically, I went over to China, I found a manufacturer, did my research, purchased a truckload of furniture, brought it back to Miami, stored it in a warehouse space, and then on nights and weekends, I would post ads. I would post ads on Facebook, on OfferUp. I would try to get people who were interested to meet me on the weekends, and then I would deliver that furniture on the weekends. So it was great in the sense that it was very flexible, just doing some marketing after work in nights and evenings, and then actually trying to physically meet that customer to deliver furniture just on the weekends. I would monetize immediately, and it was good money. The cons, as you might imagine, is it's just such a big initial investment on time and money to get it started, right? Money in the sense that I had to buy a truckload of furniture, money in the sense that I had to pay for storage every single month, time in the sense that I had to set up this infrastructure, set up an e-commerce website, do it all from scratch, learn while I was doing it. I had no experience in doing any of that. So every part of this was a huge learning process for me. Finally, the last one now, and I don't even know if you would call it a side hustle or not, is this YouTube channel. I don't know if you could call it a side hustle because I don't know if I'll ever monetize. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy creating. I enjoy learning about making a video. So I would do it for free anyways. But at the same time, it's something that might possibly be my future side hustle. I think Google is great in terms of finding what you need, but I think YouTube is the future because YouTube is Google, except you can see a video of somebody doing it versus reading about it. Guys, I'm going to wrap up this video by talking a little bit more about YouTube, right? So these are my side hustles. They may or may not work for you. If you do a quick YouTube search on side hustle, you're going to see a million videos on different people's side hustles. If you're interested in doing what I'm talking about as far as saving, hustling, grinding, getting to the point where you're setting your life on cruise control, I would encourage you to go online and search and see what resonates with you. There's a lot of there's a lot of bad ideas, but there's a lot of good ideas out there as well. And again, the beauty of YouTube is that if you don't know how to do something, if you're not an expert in something, you spend the time in YouTube. There's a lot of experts out there that you can learn from. Anybody can become an expert nowadays with YouTube. As always, guys, I appreciate you watching. Please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Got more of these videos coming, and I appreciate you watching.